of the project where the project is what? Forms demo. So let's go with the forms demo and click on OK. Now you can see the time when user keep mouse on there and not enter anything. I'm going to display a message to the user, something like name is mandatory. Might be when I give like only one. It is showing me name is 4 characters is mandatory. When I give like something more than that, I mean, maybe I haven't given anything. Okay. Now you can see this is what we have discussed. Okay. The last session is all about what we discussed with the forms implementation. Mostly like we were with the forms. And we have seen like 2 different type of forms. The first type of form is going to be a template driven form. And then we started with the reactive form. And in the reactive form, we learned about the form group and form control and form builder, 3 different types of classes that I have explained, right? So, sir, is the previous Sunday you attended the class? Yeah, I attended. I told you, right? If it is not available, then definitely like, I'll inform you, but I have shared a link also. Sunday, there was a session. Okay. I shared the link also. I saw like I'm waiting, around 9:20, but I saw like, only 170 to 180 members are joined. That's not my mistake. But anyhow, as the, like, yeah, it's okay. The people who missed, I'll upload like, the recording of the Sunday session, maybe today end of the day. Okay. I'll ask them like, to share. You don't need to worry. But as the token of like, apology, what you're supposed to do is from tomorrow onwards, you should be available sharp 9 o'clock. Because we are almost ready to close the session. That is the reason. So please be available. Okay, please be available. Right. Now let us start the next one. That is going to be a routing mechanism. Okay. But still, like, I'll explain you about what I can say. That Angular CRUD operation example. Don't need to worry. Whatever I promised to explain you in the session, that each and every concept would be explained in detailed way. You don't need to worry. Before that, we will start. Guys, any issues with respect to like, the links and all, just coordinate with an admin. This is like, I'm seeing most of the people, they started joining from, around, I guess, 9:10, 9:15. Till 9:05, we have only 150 members are joined. That even like I asked you to join like, a bit early. Yeah, please be available 8:55. If I am not joined, please read like whatever we discussed on the last session so that it would be easy, right? That is only the reason. Okay. Right. Very good. Now in today's session, we will be understanding how a routing will work. Now what exactly the routing is and how do we work with the routing mechanism. When I say about the routing as a technique, Okay, routing is a technique used to, used to provide the navigation within the application, I can say. Routing is a technique used to provide the navigation within that application, within the application. Okay, routing is a technique used to provide the navigation within the application. That means within that application, if you wanted to navigate from one page to another page, or else from one component to another component, then at that particular time, we go with the routing mechanism. Right? Yes or no? And here it is used to implement, it is used to implement single page applications. It is used to implement a single page application. Now, what is meant by a single page application? So, what is meant by a single page application? A single page, or else I can say an SPA is an application which will get the content from the server, which will get the content from the server when the first request, happens. That means whenever the first request is happened, then what routing or else what SPA will do is it will get all the content from the server. After that onwards, it uses routing to perform Ajax calls. To perform Ajax calls, I can say. That means it uses what an Ajax calls by using the routing mechanism, and we can get the data, I can say. That means every time there is no page reload or there is no page refresh. If you want, I can show you a simple example where I worked when I was with Microsoft. I will show you a site here. Facebook is also a site which is a single page application. And your Gmail is also a site. And you can see here Microsoft Events is also a site. Suppose let's say when I select this one, now you can see what happened. Is my page is refreshing here? Tell me. You could observe that when I select like anything, my page is not refreshing. What it is doing, it gets the content dynamically. It is not reloading the whole page. When I deselect it, you can see. That means, Shrikant, like how we know that like the request is happened or not? Because if it is send a request, the browser has to refresh. But you can see when I select anything here, it is not refreshing here. Rather, like, internally what it is doing, it is making a call. Now you can see when I click on, let's say, Power Platform, is it making a request to the server or not? Tell me. See that? Yes or no, guys? Tell me. When I click on here, let's say Dynamics 365, you can see the page is refreshing. And again, after that, when I select anything, now you can see we don't have any kind of refreshing setup. That means this is what generally we call it as in-page loading, or else generally speaking, it is a single page application. That means a complete application will be loaded when the first request is happened, and after that onwards, the subsequent request are the Ajax request. That what I can say. Understood. So how do I implement this particular one? So in order to implement this particular one, Okay, in order to implement this particular one, what I can do is I have to follow like few steps. So what are the steps needs to be done? Step number one, include the routing library, routing library that is, that is, that is, I can say simply, that is simply routing module and where it is available. And it is available in @Angular/router that what I can use. Okay, Angular/V means Pavan. Pavan, V means what? Everyone, 500 members. No, right? You don't have an idea. But I told you, like, will be discussed about the Ajax calls later. That is where I'm not discussing, like, much about Ajax here. It's just like, an intro I have given. That's it. And our session is completely focusing on what? Routing mechanism. It's not about Ajax calls at this point. Okay? Now it has to understand Ajax is very important. Don't worry, I'll explain you that Ajax, but right now our focus is on routing. Later Ajax calls, okay? Okay, na? Very good. That's nice. Now what I can do is, what I can do is like this is how it is going to be. Now I'll create a new application. You can see, and I'm going to have a new project to demonstrate about that. Let's say I'll go to my application. Maybe I can share the screen and save that application. So how can I give it? ng. How to generate that application? Tell me, what is the command? ng generate, and then what I wanted to generate applications, and maybe I can go with routing demo, I can say. Routing demo is the one that what I have given. Okay, ng generates what I just wanted to generate, an application, and the name of that application is going to be, I can say, routing demo that what I am giving. Right? Routing demo that what I have given. And after that, what I just want to do is, okay, what I just want to do is when I say yes, now it is asking a question for us. What is the question here? You can see, would you like to add Angular routing here? If you guys wants to add, you can add it. Otherwise, you can say simply no. That's up to you. Understood? Now, what I want to do, I can say yes and then click on OK. And there it is asked me which style sheet format would you like to use. And I can say CSS, then it might take hardly few minutes to add. I added everything. Let's clear the screen and then come back here. And the very first thing what I can do is I'll go to my routing demo and where I have that SRC, and in the styles, let me get the bootstrap. So how we can get it? Import URL where I can go one step. I'll go with there and then let me go with the bootstrap, test CSS. I can include the bootstrap over there. Let us go to here and then bootstrap.css. And after that, let me give that import URL where I can give an SRC. Otherwise, I can go to steps back and where I can give the node module, and quickly let me give the bootstrap icon where I can give bootstrap.css. Okay. So this is the basic sanity that what I have done. and everything like is ready. Okay. Everything is ready at this moment. Now the next one is going to be how the routing will work. I will show you with a good architecture how a routing will work. Generally, we have an Angular application. Okay, this is going to be your Angular application. You know, the routing can be configured like, you know, in the back end and in the front end. Both the places we have. But I don't want to discuss anything about the back end. I'll be discussing about only the front end application. That is Angular application. I have my Angular application. Okay, I have my Angular application. Now, this Angular application, as I told you, I mean, so far we have learned what exactly an Angular application is contained. Generally, what it contains what? An Angular application is made up with the help of what? Yes, component. Nice, very good. So that maybe I can have a component home. Maybe I can have a component login. Maybe I can have a component register. Maybe I can have a component index. Like that, Angular is having made up with the help of the component. Now, what happened, you know, whenever if a client is nothing but a browser. Whenever a client is requesting, okay, client is requesting, the requester is going to be processed with the help of HTTP pipeline. Am I right? Tell me. So generally what happens? We have a HTTP server, and a HTTP server, internally what happened? HTTP, I can show you, HTTP request pipeline is available. I mean, these are all configured under the server only. That means whenever you make a request for the first time, whenever you made any request, this is the request. Generally, like how the request structure is going to be, I can give something like http://localhost:4200/ when the request is from the home. Just assume that this is what the request, that what I made. Whenever user has sent a request, the request will hit the HTTP server and it will go to the request pipeline. And here we have a handler is available. That means in the HTTP request pipeline, we have request handler is available. Request handler, which will identify the type of the request, whether it is a GET request or POST request. Did you understand what I'm saying? Yes or no? Tell me. That means this total is server only. The total, like whatever we have here, is going to be server only. Internally, what happened? Whenever the time when user has sent a request, okay, this is going to be a request, I can say. This is going to be a request. Whenever user has sent a request, internally what happened? The request is handled by the HTTP server. HTTP server will contain two parts. First part is going to be HTTP request pipeline. Second part is request handler. HTTP request pipeline will accept the request, and the request handler will identify the type of the request, whether it is going to be a GET request, or it is going to be a POST request, or it is going to be a PUT request, or it is going to be a delete request and all. Based on that, what happened, you know, this pipeline or else this HTTP server internally will give this particular request, to an engine. That is what we call it as a route engine, which is configured on the Angular. A route engine is configured. Now this route engine, what it will do? It will take the request it will take the request, and there what happened, we have a route table which was defined. Okay, we have a route table which is defined in our code. That means this is generally what we call it as a route table. Now, what route table will contain? Suppose if the request is from home. Suppose, let's say, if the request is from home, then I'll be loading home component. Suppose if the request is from login, then I'm going to load a login component. If the request is from register, then I'll be using a register component. If the request is from index, then it will load a index component. So like that, the route table is configured. Route engine will send the request to the route table. Suppose if the routing is available, then what happen? It will go to here. That means here, if available, okay, if available, it go to here. And all these are configured under a module, that is what we call it as a route module. All these are configured under the route module. Now, if it is available, it will go and get, and then it gives the response again back to here, and from here to route engine. Route engine will give the same request to the HTTP server, and based on that, we are able to see the response. This is the process, guys. I can say response. This is how, like, in-depth routing. In-depth routing, if anyone wants to do, this is how it is going to be. Understood? In-depth, if anyone wants to know, this is how the process. Again, I'm repeating the process. Generally, like, you need not to explain this much. This is generally required for the people who are having 2 to 3 years of Angular experience. But as a fresher level, they might not ask this question. Okay, they might not ask this question. Now, how the routing will work mean? First, when users send the request, then the request is going to be handled by the HTTP server. And in the HTTP server, we have two things. One is HTTP request pipeline. Another one is going to be request handler. Now, the request pipeline is used to maintain all the requests in a pipeline. And at the same time, we have the request handler, which is used to handle the request. And these requests will giving you to the route engine. Route engine will send the request to the route table. If the corresponding route is available, then it will fetch from the Angular application. Okay. Then it will get that component, and the component will giving it to here, and then it is giving it to the request pipeline, and then we have the response. Okay. So please take this one, take the screenshots. Take the screenshot. Have you taken? Everyone has to take the screenshots, please, and keep it with you. Right. So now we will see, like, the practically how it is going to be working. Okay, I added, like, my routing file here. But if you are not added like, any kind of routing, then you are not able to get this file. Okay. You can observe that what happened to this. Import ng module, where it is from Angular/core, and the routing is all configured under this particular library @Angular/router. And here you can see we have the routes, and the routes are defined under the route collection. I mean, what I can say here is, okay, let's write few points here. A simple note I can give. A simple note. When we create Angular application, when we create Angular application, by default, it asks for including the routing mechanism. Routing mechanism. If we say yes, then we will get routing related configurations by default. If you can say yes, by default you will be getting. If we say no, then we will have to include by following steps. That means if you can say no, then what happen, we supposed to write the following steps. So what are the steps has to follow? What are the steps has to follow? Step number 1 is going to be, step number 1, create a file. Okay, create a file in app folder with the name app hyphen routing dot module dot ts. Okay, this is step number 1. You can find like, I'll explain you one by one step so that it would be easy for you. That means under this app folder, create a file with the name what? App hyphen routing dot module dot ts. Okay, this is step number 1. In that, write the following code. Step 2, write the following code. So what code needs to be written? The first thing is going to be, we must have to create the routing as a module. Now, whenever if you wanted to create the module, we should have an import statement that is going to be ng module. From where it is available? It is available under @Angular/core library. Did you understand what I am saying? We must have to import an ng module, and where it is available under @Angular/core library. That is step number 1. And at the same time, we are working here with the help of routing, right? Then routing related few things has to be imported. The first thing is going to be, I can say router module. And the second thing is going to be, we must have to give routes from where it has to be. I'll be giving @Angular/ I can say router, that what I am using. That is the one. And then provide the routes. That means create the routes. So that how I can do that, I'm creating a constant, and then this is of type route, and you can provide the routes that what you wanted to have. And If you wanted to create a module, sorry, component, then which decorator we are using? If we wanted to create a component, which decorator? Tell me everyone. Which decorator? Hello? I wanted to create a component, which decorator I used? @component. I wanted to create a service, then @injectable. I wanted to create a pipe, then pipe. I wanted to create, let's say, a directive, then directive, then come on. If I wanted to create a directive, then we will be using @directive. The same way, here what I wanted to create, I'm going to create a module. You can see there. That is where I'm giving app-routing.module.ts. And if you wanted to create a module, there we use a decorator. That is what we call it as a ng module. Understood now? Tell me, there we are using module. Now module is having few things. The first one is going to be imports. Second one is going to be exports. Third one is going to be bootstrap. And fourth one is going to be declaration. Okay, what we are having? A module is made up with the help of few things. The first one is going to be what? Declaration. Second one is going to be import. Third one is going to be export. And fourth one is going to be bootstrap. Now, one module is having the bootstrap, another module should not have. That means at a high level, we can have only one bootstrap module is available. Did you understand what I am saying? And from there only, the application execution will start. I hope most of the people are here from the .NET or Java. In our .NET and Java program, we are able to have only one main method in the application, right? Is it possible to have multiple main methods? Tell me. Tell me. Obviously, no, we cannot. We cannot have what? Multiple main methods. In the same way, we cannot have multiple modules which contain bootstrap. So bootstrap should have only in one place, that is the root module. And for my application, app.module.ts is my root module where I have the bootstrap here. So that is the reason. Now what I can do, I don't want to use it in the remaining modules, so that don't give this bootstrap. Is this point is clear to all? Is this point is clear to all? Tell me. Yes or no? Yes or no? That means we should have this bootstrap only for the root module, so that don't include it in any other module within your application. It should be presented only in one place. That's up to you. Which module you wanted to have, you can. It doesn't matter that we should always have it in the app module, but there should be only one module contains the bootstrap, and that is going to be a starting point of the Angular application execution. So I already have, like, in my app module, so that I removed it from here. Everyone is clear with this step? Tell me. Everyone is clear with this step? Tell me. Very good. Very good. Nice. And now the next one, declarations. What is the purpose of the declaration? It is used to include the, Angular elements that are related to the current module. Now, what does it mean? Suppose, let's say, when you created an Angular application, as I told you, we have many declarations are available. Many Angular elements we created. That means we create what? Angular component, we create Angular pipe, we create Angular service, we create, let's say, Angular directive, many things we created in that particular application development. Now, I created 10 components. In the 10 component, few components are related to the student and few components are related to master. Then I need to segregate them with the help of module only, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? Tell me. So declarations will contain that related, the module related component or module related Angular elements. App component, you can declare it here. Student, you can declare it here. Student marks, you can keep it here. Student registration, you can keep it here. Like that, student related in one module. Let's say teacher related in separate module declaration. Trainer related in separate module declaration. Operations related, separate module declaration. So like that, you can declare. Clear na? Clear na? Declaration section will contain that information. Completely that information related to the module. What are all the Angular items we need to have, that you can have it over there. Okay. Understood. And then the next one is going to be import. It is used to import another modules into current module. That means, let's say, just give me 2 minutes. Okay, sorry. So it is used to import another module into the current module. Now, what does it mean? Let's say in another module, I have 10 items are available. Then if I'll be getting like, one by one, then 10 times I have to write it here, right? Yes or no? Instead of doing that, if I just get like, that particular one, then whatever that items we have it in the module, completely we can give it in the import section. That is what all about that import. It is used to export the current module items into another module. It is used to export the current module items into another module. There I used what? An export section. Declarations, import, and export. This is how it is going to be. And after that, we have what? Export class. I'm going to write app routing module, and this is how your class is. So what we have to do? First, we use what? An import statement. And then second, we have the routes. Third, we have the module declaration. And fourth, we have the export class. Then it is done. Clear na? Clear na? Hello? Clear or not? Tell me. Right. Now this is how it is. Now, what is step number 3? Step number 3, create the routes. Okay, create the, or else, let's say, register route related modules in imports section. Now, how do I do that one? Simply, we have that import section. Simply, what you can do, import section, import section, and here go with browser module. Second one, app routing module. And then the third one is going to be a router module. Just you can give this one in app.module.ts file. That means we should give it in app.module.ts, the import section. And then we'll go with step number 4. Step number 4, build the routes. We're supposed to build the routes. So how we can build the routes here? So to build the routes, you know, we have like different approaches. Again, I'm repeating one. Routes are defined in a route collection. Generally speaking, routes are defined in a route collection, and every route is having basic two attributes. First one is going to be, I can say the path. Second one is going to be the name of the component when the path is initiated. Okay, so path is available and component is available. Now, what is meant by a path here? So, a path is something like it defines how the component is requested. How a component is requested, that you can give with the help of path. And a component is going to be, it defines the component class to load and render. That means you can see, suppose let's say I'm creating like this. Suppose if my path is going to be home, then which component you wanted to load? I just wanted to load home component. Suppose let's say if the path is going to be, maybe I can say login. Then which component you are going to use? Login component. That means every route is a collection, and routes are defined in the route collection, and every route is having two basic attributes. One is path, another one is the component. And all these are available. As I told you, these are a collection. All these are available. Where it is available? This is available in a routes library. Constant routes, which is of type routes collection, is equal to, you're supposed to define like this. Clear now? Clear? Tell me, build the routes. How to build? We can give the path and you can give the name of the component. Clear? Clear this. That means all together we are going to build a simple project. Don't worry. And here we have another important thing, wildcard routes. We have another thing, that is wildcard routes. Now, what is wildcards? Wildcard is something like we can define routes with special characters. Special characters. So that means, let's say, if I'll be giving path is going to be single slash, okay, single slash, then I can say indicates the component to load when the first request. That means if the path is slash and you can say that component as going to be, let's say, home component, then what happen, you know, it indicates whenever the user is requested for the first time, okay, whenever user has requested for the first time, the home component is going to be loaded. Home component is going to be loaded. It's an automatic process. Like that, we have different wildcards. Suppose, let's say, if the path is going to be an empty, okay, then default. Suppose, let's say, when the path is going to be, maybe I can say 2 stars. 2 stars if I am giving. Okay, this is not found. Suppose if user has requested for the path, something like register. I don't have any component is available. Then if you wanted to go with a default one that is not found, there you can go with that. Understood? So this is how it is going to be. Wildcard. Wildcard means first slash or empty. Both are belongs to the default. And then if you can give 2 star, then that is what we call it as not found. And path is configured. Now step number 5 is going to be. Step number 5 is going to be. Step number 5. Create the navigation. Create the navigation. How to create the navigation? And here we use an @ and then a router link has to be given. And with whatever the link we have created, here, you can give this particular one. Suppose if I'm giving home, then here also you're supposed to place the home. If I'm giving, let's say, login, again you're supposed to create. Don't use, okay, don't use what? href. Create the navigation with anchor tag by using router link attribute. By using router link attribute. Router link attribute. So how I supposed to create? I'm going to write something like this. Okay, I'm going to write something like this. And the last step is going to be define the place to deliver the component output. Okay, component output. How I can do that? To do that, I can use a router outlet. Now, when I use the router outlet, okay, router hyphen outlet, I can say. When I use the router outlet, then when user requested home, then request will go to here, home component, and that component will be rendered here. These are the steps. Are these 3 fixed as wildcard routes? We have other. No, these are like 3, and default one we are not using at all. Mostly we used it in the real time, the first one and the third one. Saurabh, first one, third one is important. Second one, it's very rare cases we use, but these are the steps has to follow. Okay, this much story is there behind the routing, but you know how much time it is taken for you to explain. I mean, for me to explain you, example is that much simple. Okay, let's start with that. Let's start the basic thing. So now here you can see the first thing. app-routing module, it was created and it includes and it creates the route. And we have the import statement and we have an export class. And you can see step number 1 is done. Step number 2 is also done. Step number 3, register the route related modules in the import section of app.module.ts. If you can go to that app.module.ts, you see, am I having it or not? Tell me. Yes or no? That means, see how it is going to be. That is where I wrote a point here very clearly. When we create an Angular application, by default, it asks for the including routing mechanism. If you can say yes, first 3 steps are done. If you can say yes, first 3 steps are automatic. If you can say no, then you people have to write by your own. That's it. Clear? Hello. Hello. Right? Clear. Now it's time for us to build. Now what I want to do here is I'm going to create first a component. I need the component. Otherwise, how could I provide the routing? Now step number 4 is going to be what? You can see step number 4, build the route. In order to build the route, we should have the component. Now what I can do? I am going to use a component, something like let's go to my app folder, open that integrated terminal, give a CMD, very quickly, I'll create few components. Those are not required. Sorry, those are required for me. I'll create few components. So the very first thing is going to be NGGC for the component, and I'm just having a component that is going to be my home component. Skip tests, I can say first one, and after that instead of home, maybe I can say login. I can give. Okay. Today we will see very basic example. Tomorrow I will show you good example again. And after that login, I just wanted to have, let's say, register component. And after that, I just wanted to have, let's say, not found. So total I'm having 4 components. Okay. Right. Now it's time for us to follow from step number 4, build the routes. So how do I build the routes here? To build the route, go to the app routing module. And here you can see we have the constant routes. We have the routes here and define it. So how I can do that? Now you can use 2 attributes as I told you. First one, path. Suppose my path is going to be, that means what are the component we created? You can see home, login, and not found to register, right? Suppose my path is going to be home. Then which component you wanted to load? I'm going to load home component. Understood this? Tell me. Hello? Understood all? Tell me. And the same way, suppose let's say if the path is going to be, let's say login, then I'm going to load a component that is login component. Suppose if my path is going to be, let's say register, then load a component that is going to be register component. Okay, now I wanted to set a default path. So what would be the default path? Suppose if the path is slash, okay, only a single forward slash, then which component? I'll go with home component only. Suppose if it is going to be a path and empty, then what I can do, I'm going to redirect it to login. So that means here to which path? Suppose if user has not given anything, then where you wanted to redirect? I'll go with redirected to the login. And also we have path match is going to be full. If it is fully satisfied, then only it go to the login. Again, it login, we have the login component. Like that it is. Suppose I'll be giving another wildcard. What is the another wildcard? Suppose if the path is going to be, let's give star, 2 stars, then I'm going to load a component that is not found component. Understood? Understood all this? Tell me. Guys, everyone, understood all this? Tell me. Wildcard, just see the name you can see, it is something like Asian movie Wild Sala. But if you can go to the movie, how it is. Okay, when I say about wildcard, don't think that is too much. I don't know why they have given a name wildcard. What is wildcard? If the paths are like, some specific symbol, maybe it is slash, or maybe if it is an empty, maybe if it is 2 stars, then which components you wanted to redirect, that you can specify. In remaining cases, you can observe that we have a specific name, right? If it is home, go with home component. If it is login, go with login component. If it is register, go with register component. Like that it's supposed to be. But if it is wildcard, that means in special cases, I don't want to break my application. Rather, what I can do, I can give a specific paths. So how I can do that? I can give like this. Clear? Clear now? Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Very good. Very good. No, Abhishek. I don't have that much time and I don't have interest also. Okay. Right. So next step you can see. Next step you can see. Build the route say done and I added wildcard also. Now the next step is what? Create the navigational links. How do I create the navigational links? That's up to you. Where you wanted to create, you can. Okay, where you wanted to create, you can create it over there. So how could I do that one? Simply, I'll go to my home page. I'm assuming that home is my home ground. Okay. And okay. And what I can do here is, I'll take a simple div where I'll be taking container hyphen fluid or something I can say. I'll take a UL. Maybe I can say list. Unstyled. Let's have an li. And I'm giving 3. And in that, I'll create an anchor tag with the btn, some classes, btn hyphen or danger, I can say. Width is going to be 100. And this one, I'll create it for, let's say, 3 times. Generally, anchor tag which comes with like, the href, right? But I don't need this href here. Okay, I don't need this href here. I don't need this href here. Srikanth, why? In Angular, that is what I mentioned. If you can see, create the navigation by using anchor tag with the help of router link attributes. So how I can do that? Simply, I'll be taking here what it is? Router link is equal to now you can give the names, guys. Now what are all the names has to be? What are all the names has to be? You can see with what names you created, give that particular name. Home login register, so that the first one is going to be home login, and then we have register, and here also you can give that name, home. Okay, I am sorry. Register. And this is also fine. Now, what is the last step? Define the place to deliver the component. Now, what I can do, I'll take a separate div here. Okay. And here in this div, let me use what? Router outlet. And save this application once. Save this application once. And make home component as the startup, so that what I can do, I'll go to my app home. You can see index.html, where I can give that app home. And in the app module, go with the home component as the bootstrap and save it. And now you can see how it would be. Maybe I can say ngs -o -hyphen project is equal to routing demo, I can say. Do we have it? Very good. This is very basic example. And in the next session, we will understand good examples. What happened to this? Let's do one thing. Body, app home, container fluid. In that we have the div row. In that we have what mistake I have done. It's an unordered list, okay. List unstyled, okay. Li class. And three, okay. And I created like PTL ranger with as 100. Okay, there is some error. Just a minute. Okay. No, not that one. The error is not because of that, guys. And we configure the routing here, right? So it should be from like, the server actually. Okay, you can see that. That means the routing should start by default, with this one. When I give a slash, slash is from server actually. Okay, slash is from server. When you're requesting from server, then you can give the slash. Otherwise, like what happened, this is the problem. Now what I can do, I'm just changing that wildcard. Now it is working fine. You can see when I click on home, it is showing everything. When I click on login, login. When I click on register. Now you can see, though I clicked on these buttons, is my page is refreshing. Observe that. Observe that. Is my page is refreshing. This is what all about the routing mechanism. Though you're not the, clicking on it, though you clicked on there, then the page is not getting refreshed. So that is how the routing will go. You just try from your end. This is very basic example. You just try from your end. If it is working perfectly fine, otherwise anyhow, I'll take like a complex example tomorrow and I will show you how we can make use of it. And once if it is done, I can explain you how we are going to perform the CRUD operations. Okay. Just I'll upload like everything, whatever we have discussed, the routing demo. I will go to the path. The project is routing demo. Where it is routing demo. Right click on here. WinRAR. Classroom. But again, I'm repeating. If you can read, then it will be easy. Otherwise, it is difficult to understand. Read line by line and do a practice so that it will be easy for you.